So the first one, and this is very similar to other questions that we've had answered. I'll backtrack because I've had a little back and forth with this client in the comment section. They asked if we would speak to their doctors, so the claimant's doctors, and basically just tell the doctor what we need, tell the doctor how to fill stuff out. And I told them we're happy to coach the claimant on how to talk to your doctor, but we're not gonna call your doctor and then say, hey, we need you to do this and this and this. And then the response was, if the clients are speaking to the doctors, why are they paying you other than getting the records and submitting them electronically? What do you actually do as a representative?
Yeah, well, we get that a lot. First of all, one of the questions that you're going to get from Social Security Administration if you get an opinion form from your doctor or your therapist is, were you there when they filled this out? And you basically, if you sit on the examining table and they're like, okay, well, they want to know how much you can be on your feet. I can't be on my feet. Put down 5 minutes. Well, what about his lifting and carrying? I can't lift and carry anything. I can't even lift a gallon of milk. Put like 3 pounds. That's useless. In fact, adjudicators they're probably going to be really turned off with your claim, because now it looks like you're trying to game the system.
Yeah.
I'll tell my doctor what to say. The only thing worse than you telling your doctor what to say on a medical source statement, which is an opinion form, is for me to tell your doctor what to say on a medical source statement opinion form. So the answer is no. I am never, ever going to call your doctor and say, well, I need you to say that, Mr. Smith can't lift or carry more than 5 pounds. I need you to say Mr. Smith can't be on his feet for more than a few minutes a day. I need you to say, nope. What should happen, and this is a very organic and natural kind of interaction, is you've been seeing a doctor long enough that they have an opinion on what you are able to do and what you are not able to do. Mm-hmm. And all we're asking them to do is just circle the box. They don't have to circle every answer. They don't know. I don't really know if you have any problems, reaching, above shoulder. Don't fill it out. Don't circle it. You don't have to. And even better, I've said this in the earlier podcasts, I personally prefer a narrative. Just have them jot down so they can write it in their chicken scratching. And, Social Security examiners and judges, they can usually decipher doctors' chicken scratching because they're used to it. I'd rather have that, a narrative, than for them to fill out my form or fill out Social Security's form, which is basically you check a box or you circle an answer. But it's a very organic process. Your provider should have some kind of opinion on what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. To the second part of the question, what are you paying me for? Let's get it out there again. You're not paying me at all unless I win your case.
Yeah.
I don't have a retainer. You don't pay me anything up front. If I lose your case after all the time I've spent on it, or my employees have spent on it, if we lose your case after 2 years and I've spent 40 work hours on your case, you know how much you owe me? Nothing. And you haven't paid me a dime. So as you can tell, I kind of bristle when people, what am I paying you for? Well, you're not paying me at all until I win the case. But let me tell you what you are paying me for. You're paying me for my expertise. You're paying me for my 35 years experience, and you're paying me for the arguments that I am going to make in your case. If you feel qualified to go in front of Social Security and cite that, Social Security, pursuant to Social Security ruling 96-8P, I'm disabled because that ruling, and then you explain the ruling to Social Security, well, hey, go for it. You may not have that expertise.
Yep.
I believe that I grid, at my age and with my work history and with my education and with the limitations that the medical records all show that I have, I believe that I grid, and therefore you should find me disabled due to Medical Vocational Rule 201.10. If you feel that you're confident and capable and you possess that kind of expertise, then my answer is nothing. You don't even need me. Go for it. Go for it on your own. You do not have to have a representative to argue your case. But one, the fact that you do enlist the help of an advocate or a representative, whether you like it or not, that gives a tremendous amount of credibility to your case right out of the gate. The fact that you are represented means that somebody has put eyes on your case and somebody has said, yeah, they're disabled and I can prove it. That automatically the credibility of your case, boom, it doesn't rise, it shoots up because now you have an advocate. Same way in any kind of civil or criminal proceeding. You have an advocate, your credibility immediately shoots up. Somebody believes in you and somebody is going to argue with you. So you will be paying me if I win your case for my expertise and for the arguments that I make and for the work that I do. I will be the one hounding, especially at the hearing level, I'm the one who'll be hounding your doctors or your hospital, medical records department or whatever. I'll be the one hounding them to get the records in. At the lower levels, the disability determination sections from the state will get your medical records. So there's not a whole lot. I kind of bristle when people say, well, I did all the work. Well, you filled out the forms. I mean, that basically the amount of work a disability claimant has to do in their case is just to cooperate, which usually means filling out forms.
Yeah, going to the doctor.
But and staying in treatment. And then on many occasions, they will schedule you an exam in your area. They will pay for the exam. If you can't get there, they will pay you mileage after the fact. It's about as easy a process as it can be for what you actually have to do, what kind of energy you have to exert in a disability case. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. It's kind of grueling that they want so much information from you and that they take forever. I get that. But, yeah, as you can tell, I kind of bristle when somebody says, well, what am I paying you for? Well, again, at the beginning of your case and up till I win the case, you're not paying me a dime. And if I don't win the case, you never pay me anything. What are you paying me for if I win your case? Well, you're paying me for my expertise. You're paying me for, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to be your cheerleader, possibly your mom, and say, hey, have you been going into treatment? I'm going to check in with you every periodically, usually every 45 to 60 days. I'm going to check in with you. We told you that you need to go to the doctor. Have you gone to the doctor? Well, no. Why? Why haven't you gone to the doctor when I've told you that the way to win a disability case is to actually build a medical record? You can't build a medical record unless you're going to the doctor. I've told you that. Why haven't you gone? That's just tough love. I'm being your mom. That's what you're paying me for, because I'm going to remind you, sometimes forcefully, hey, you need to get into. I told you 5 months ago that you haven't gone to see anybody. What do you expect? Well, I expect Social Security to just believe me. On my word, I'm disabled. Well, that kind of attitude, you wouldn't expect that kind of faith from somebody else in any other aspect of your life. Yeah. You wouldn't expect somebody to take you at your word, because I'm an honest person and I wouldn't lie about that. No, I haven't seen anybody in 18 months for my conditions, but my conditions are so bad that I can't work. And you never, ever try to bridge that gap and basically fill in the question that heavily hangs over your case. If he's so bad, why isn't he in treatment? Which is a great question. It's a damaging question, and it's something that I can't argue against. That's a great question. We have to be able to argue that. But let's argue it by staying in treatment. So I'll be your cheerleader. Did you fill out those forms Social Security sent you? They sent me copies too. Did you fill out those forms? No. They should just believe me. You got to fill out those forms.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to fill out these
I'll
forms.
encourage you, and at certain points, I will hound you like I'm your mom, telling you that you got to clean your bedroom. That is what you're paying me for. And then when things get nitty-gritty in the hearing, if you think you can cross-examine a vocational witness, okay.
Yeah.
I will cross-examine a vocational witness. I know the law, and when they start spouting nonsense, which a lot of times they do, I'll call them on it. The judge is not going to call them on it. The judge wants them to spout nonsense, 90% of the time. They're not going to call them on it, but I will.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying me for. So again, as you can tell, I kind of bristle with that because I hear it pretty often, especially in a case at the lower levels where they're getting inundated by forms. Okay, well, I hired you. I can't fill out forms for you. I can't basically put words in your mouth, or I can't say, well, he can't. I don't think he could lift or carry this. I think he has these kinds of problems with memory. I think I'm just making up stuff, and then I send it in. That's fraud. I can't do that. I can't sign your name on that.
Yeah.
Now, I can if you have some significant problems filling out a form. And there are people who do. If you have problems with literacy or you have problems with cognition or you have some other problems, I get it. And yes, I will pay my staff to call you up and to go through the form with you. And in some instances, very rare, so don't expect it, but in some instances, I'll have them interview you with the form. Okay, well, the first form asks, who do you live with? Well, I live with my mom. He lives with his mom. And they'll fill out the form. But then at the end of the form, they will put, I am employee of Disability Consulting. My name is such and such. In a phone interview on March the 17th, I got all these answers from the claimant. And they can do that, but the forms, they make the forms about as easy as they can be. They're just asking you about things that you're already going to know. How, what kind of stuff you do during the day. Are you able to pay your bills? Are you able to feed your animals? Are you able to cook? Are you able to clean? Are you able to go to the grocery store? Are you able to drive? All these things. That's the questions they're asking you. Just fill out the form, They're asking you about the work you did in the last 5 years. You know about that. You know how much you lifted and carried at that job. You know how much you were on your feet at that job. Did you know how much, reaching and handling that you did with your arms? Yeah, you know all that. You're the best person to fill out that form. So, but going back to the first part of the question, no, I will never call a doctor and tell him what to say. However, you will see if we send it to you, sometimes we send it directly to the doctor, but sometimes if we send the form to you to give to your doctor, the front page basically says why their opinion is important, what the Social Security law is, and stuff like that. That's all I need to tell them. Your opinion is really important, especially if you've been seeing your patient for a long time. If you have a 20-year history with a patient, you should be able to fill out a opinion form in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Our opinion form for physical cases is 1.5 pages. It's not even 2 full pages, and it's just things that you circle. For our mental health form, it's 3 pages, and you have to check some boxes in that. But I mean, one of them's 5 minutes. The physical one, the other one's 10 minutes. It's just not going to take them that long, if they know it. But if they haven't seen you for a long time, or they don't have much of a history with you. I've been seeing this provider, for 2 months. I've seen him twice. Probably not going to be an opinion that's that valuable to Social Security. But if he's been seeing you for 20 years, yeah. So that's my long answer to your short question.
Yeah, I can tell you're pretty fired up about this.
Yeah, I mean, because we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
What do you mean that you want me to take a form to my doctor? What am I paying you for?
Yeah.
Well, I can send it to your doctor, but let me tell you what happens is insurance companies, workers' comp companies, long-term disability insurance companies, just spam companies, pharmacological companies are inundating doctors' offices with mail. However much you get from credit card companies, quadruple that, and that is what a doctor's office gets. And in the middle of that, there's a 2-page form coming from Disability Consulting. It's going to go where all the rest of their mail that they're not expecting goes, in the trash. So that's why we ask our clients, hey, next time you go to your doctor, we're going to send you this form, have your doctor fill it out, just leave it with them, and then have them mail it back to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that. By the way, that is kind of industry standard. I'm not saying that all firms do that, but I am not some kind of particular monster when it comes to that. I will send the form 9 times out of 10 to my client to give to their doctor instead of sending it directly to the doctor, because the doctor is just going to deep six it. It's going to go in the trash.
Yeah, I gotcha. If you have a question about your disability case, give us a call at 615-453-9151 Monday through Friday, or click the link in the description of this video.